as I mentioned, our partnership with you is extremely important. I came into this job about a year ago. Both my boss and I kind of took the seat around the same time due to some holdups with our confirmation. But that was actually a blessing because we could go into it with eyes wide open and kind of think through some of the challenges that we're facing today, but also some of the things that were already in motion here in this theater that have been in motion for several years, through several administrations. And I think that's important as we're coming up on a transition from the presidential administration in terms of continuity and making sure that there's still going to be the focus where it should be here in the Pacific, which is extremely important. But we view the second island chain in particular and the people in this community as our asymmetric advantage. We do appreciate what you bring to our fight, and we can describe a little bit of that, how we think the force laydown would be here in the theater, things that we're already doing in the theater, things that are potentially going to be coming into the theater, but just really providing options. That's probably the best way to describe our strategy. Is that unlike in the Middle East, where there's really not an air threat in particular, there's a little bit, you can say from the drones right now, but nothing that's going to really challenge our air superiority. And that's a different kind of challenge that we face here, where we do see a very significant threat, a near peer, almost peer competitor with our Chinese or the PRC in particular. So we're preparing for that, and that means that we have to have options. We can't rely on fixed bases. We need to have, ideally, lots of options, lots of opportunities to be flexible and move around the theater, and that's why you are so important, among other reasons, but especially now in terms of how mature your airfield is, your ports, and just your society here is being able to accept a forced laydown if needed. So all of you in the room are very familiar, I hope, with that idea and that strategy. But we share so much more in common than we have apart in terms of we have a vital interest in our peace and prosperity in this region. And our presence here is really to deter. Ultimately, that's our goal. But if we're required to move into the spaces that we never want to go into, but we're prepared to go into, this is where we would fight from second island chain, first island chain, and of course Hawaii, Alaska, Guam, and then CONUS. But based on the timing that we think is probably relevant for this type of fight, this is where we need to be able to posture and project forces out of. So we come to you today and every day acknowledging that there's challenges. There's challenges that we all face together, but there's also challenges specific to this theater. You've gone through the pandemic, hit this region very hard, facing the physical challenges as we go forward, and we hope to be part of the solution and not part of the problem when it comes to that. So we've spent a lot of time over the last couple of days. We went to Palau, we stopped at Rhoda on the way here, we met with your airport authorities already, we met with the mayor as well, and we're meeting with the governor shortly after this discussion. But we really want to understand what your concerns are, what your priorities are, what your red lines are especially, but also make sure that you understand where we think we want to go so we're not surprising you or infringing plans that you have for any of your ports and your communities. And interesting, when we spoke to the mayor, there's a really, I think, a unique opportunity for us to engage in our community in ways that I hadn't been thinking about before. But we have some great folks that are postured here in the theater permanently. One of them is led by Colonel Ju here, and he has several engineers, hundreds of engineers that are working on Tinian in particular, but they also have the opportunity to engage in whether it's support the schools, do a little community and recruiting on the side, or help you in your communities of projects that you might need to work on. That's something that we can examine and go forward. Another aspect of helping the community is out at the airport and looking for some environmental supports there, the bird program, the bird awareness and avoidance program. So the one thing we're also doing, or other things that we're doing specifically for this group here that's interested in commerce, is we stood up a full-time dedicated small business office in our headquarters. And I think many of you have already worked with that office, but they work directly for me, and I charge them to maximize the opportunities for small businesses. So we know that one of the challenges is that when we contract to a bigger contractor, then they bring in their own people, and it doesn't benefit as much the local economy. So we're very focused on making sure that we've written into their contracts that they need to the max extent possible, hire from within, so that we are building up this economy as we continue to build out our military presence. But our new director in charge that's helping us do that is Ailey Surreal, and I think many of you might have met her at the Industry Day that we hosted this past fall. She's working with our joint partners to develop the achievable and federal statutory goals for small businesses. And so I meet with her once a month, and she just got her first quarter report. And so if you don't feel like we're meeting those mandates that we've described to you, then please, either through her or directly to me, let me know, and we'll re-engage and redirect our efforts. We've also advocated through the DoD for the support of Governor Palacios and the National Marianas College President, Dr. Guerrero, to place a full-time APEX accelerator here at the CNMI. And if you're not familiar with an APEX accelerator, because I wasn't really familiar with that initially, what their job is to do is to really make sure that we connect the small businesses with the DoD, because we're a big bureaucracy. It can be challenging to break in. Glenna is helping us do that right now. She's our leader on the ground here. But this person that will be part of the APEX Accelerator will determine if the companies are ready for federal contracting. They'll register these companies. They'll see if they're eligible for small business certifications. And they'll also research past and future contracts that the companies might be eligible for. So, like I said, Glenna's here, and hopefully you'll have had the chances to interact with her. But we'll have someone else to help as well, just a few short months. So to date, we've registered 51 small businesses, and we've gotten them ready to do business with the federal government. And also, in partnership with the CNMI Small Business Development Center, we've networked local vendors' footprint into this contracting space, and it's been growing, and we're seeing higher participation of the small businesses who are bidding on these contract opportunities. So we're very supportive of the SBDC, and we're focused on increasing their efforts in getting more businesses online and in the space. So we recognize that small businesses are the heart of the community, and they are leaders in themselves, and they've got great ideas. So we want to make sure that it's a two-way conversation in terms of even with the APEX generator and our support of Glenna, we're still not seeing the progress that we need to know that, so we can make some changes. We're also really proud of our U.S. Air Force Prime for the Divert, and we've been holding job fairs the last 2 years, and we're trying to employ more and more local residents and subcontracts with our local businesses here. So like I mentioned, our expeditionary civil engineering group, led by Colonel Ju, he's also been charged with a couple of things. So we've asked him to have more direct contracts, small contracts with the local businesses, and he's moving out on that. So Colonel Ju, I don't know if you have any comments or suggestions for the community, just off the cuff, and if you don't, that's okay.
Not at the moment. If anyone wants to help me after, I'll be available.
Okay. We also, some of you may think you're all aware, some right in front of me, we've leased a warehouse here in Saipan to store and maintain critical equipment. So part of being ready and part of deterrence is being postured. We're not expecting to have a lot of time to move a lot of forces quickly into the theater. So like I said, we're working from within. And so having that posture, having that equipment already on site and ready, and we'll use it during exercises. It won't just sit in a warehouse. So we'll need heavy equipment operators, we'll need people to maintain the facility, we'll need air conditioning techs, and you name it. Those are the kinds of folks that will help us with this warehouse. And it's not the only one, so it's just the first one. And it's so critical. As you know, these elements are destructive to any equipment, and we don't want to throw good money after bad. So it's happening now, and we're excited and very focused on posturing the theater. I mentioned it earlier, but we're working with the schools, the Northern Marianas Tech, to make sure that there's a curriculum there to train the folks that we need to do the kinds of jobs that we're looking at. I just mentioned a couple of them already, but that'll just help robust this community as well. I think the mayor mentioned too that he's looking for heavy operator equipment folks. So this will help not only in our efforts but also in this community. And so finally, our most recent request for proposal language for several projects requires contractors again to maximize hiring folks within the CNMI. So we're making it official that it won't just be encouraged or directing them to extremely proud to have already done business with so many of you, in particular the Marianas Pacific Management, Hongi, Amden, said that correctly, Triple J, and many other small businesses who have come online to help us. And we're excited to see that Rolodex grow. So I just want to, before we open up for questions, I do want to thank you again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership in this community. Thank you for your family's leadership as well. We know that a lot of businesses are family run or family supported. In fact, I'm in the family business too. My dad was Air Force. I never said a little bit